Hey, welcome to Men on Everything. This is our show where we talk about it all. You know, Mark Clark's in New York City, Troy Johnson's in Washington D.C. I'm Tony Scott in St. Louis, and Super Bowl 49, man.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Everybody's wondering what the hell the Seahawks were thinking. They got the miracle catch that got them on the brink of another Super Bowl. Yeah. That was a crazy catch. That was just
concentration.
That doesn't happen in the Super Bowl, but it did.
Yeah.
You know, and of course it kind of reminds you a little bit about what was the guy for the Giants against the Patriots when the guy caught it up against his head.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but this guy caught the ball after everybody thought it was incomplete, and they got it inside the one on second down with their timeouts. Game winding down, and
wait a minute, Tony. They got it to the one on a run play with Marshawn Lynch.
Right. So why everybody's wondering why not give it to Marshawn?
See, Tony, Troy and I have a special perspective because we are Ravens fans. Troy, a bigger Raven fan than I am. I got to admit that. But Troy, we know how slippery these damn Patriots are, baby. We know. We've been there before.
Yes.
You have to take. Ain't no time for no fancy. And I mean, Troy, are you with me? Like we've been there so many times with this team. You can't give it. There's two dynamics that we probably are thinking about. Number one, there was 30 seconds left. So if you run the ball, you're going to run the clock out. That's important. Number two, don't try nothing crazy with this team. And the thing that they had that we don't have sometimes, or the Ravens didn't have, though Ray Rice is a great running back, they had the offensive line, the run line was working. You know what I mean? They're working, they were moving. When we face them, sometimes it's kind of like a crapshoot because the line wasn't moving them back off the line. But with Marshawn Lynch and a line that's working,
it's the fourth quarter. It's beast mode time.
This is what you pay him for.
This is what you pay him for. And you know, but I have to say that I thought about, and since you mentioned the Ravens, I thought about the same. The Patriots have found themselves in this situation before. They get a stop against their opposing team. This happened with the Ravens game. They get a stop on the opposing team's final drive. And when I say stop, I mean they don't score a touchdown. The Seahawks kicked a field goal, and they were up by 4. And I'm like, that ain't enough.
That's not enough.
It's not enough.
But it's like when the Patriots played the Rams some years ago in the Super Bowl, and the Rams took the lead, and everybody in St. Louis was like, y'all left too much time on the clock, man. y'all left too much time on the clock, man. These are the Patriots. You can't do
Yes, you can't. You can't do it.
Man.
And let me say, in defense of, I think this is what happened. I think Russell Wilson changed the play at the line. That's what I think. And I think Mercury's in retrograde, so you know what that means, guys.
I have no idea what you just said, man.
Mercury in retrograde is a time where things are miscommunicated. So let's say, you know what I mean? It's like a reversal of communication. So during this time, these are when things get kind of mixed up. I think this was one of those cases, baby.
See, I read some of the stuff I read this morning says that, the reason why they went with this play, and this is as far-fetched as this sounds, then again, I don't know, that they wanted Russell Wilson to be the hero, not Marshawn Lynch. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. You got the Mercury in somebody's butt retrograde thing. I don't know what the hell that is.
Well,
but
here's the thing, Tony. The problem is, be honest, if we went to that kind of scandal, they don't want that. They got to pay him now. It's time. It's his payday. So it would have made more sense.
Would they have had to pay him more if he'd have scored the Super Bowl game-winning touchdown?
Right. That's what I'm saying.
So they didn't give him the ball. They let Russell Wilson win the game.
No. They would have had to pay Russell Wilson more. They're not gonna re-sign Marshawn Lynch. It's a wrap. That's the other part. Like
I thought they offered him a deal.
They have to sign because he's the whole swag of the team.
They mentioned that before the game. They said that the Seahawks want to keep him in Seattle for his entire career.
But it's all predicated on how much of a hometown discount Russell Wilson gives the Seahawks, right?
Well,
I mean, he's got to get paid too.
But you know what? But here's the bottom line, man. I mean, as much as I really don't care for the Patriots, the great teams do great things.
Yeah,
right?
That was a great defensive play. That was a
great defensive play.
Great defensive play.
He made a play.
He made a play.
And they could have given the ball and it not work, but it's almost like you said, you can't. This is that one scenario where, it's beast mode. But it is beast mode, and the whole game, Marshawn was a runaway slave, man. Marshawn looks like
they had him bottled up for a while.
If Nat Turner played football.
That's what it looked like.
And I mean, in real life, Nat Turner was small, but I'm saying in spirit, that's what it is. It's like we ain't bringing him down. On the one? Oh,
man.
No.
But that's what I'm saying. It's second down, man.
Second down, and you have all your timeouts.
You got all your timeouts, and yes, there's less than 30 seconds on the clock, but come on, man. Come on. Give him a shot, man. 1 yard.
There's a video. I don't want to go on, guys, but there's a video that it's on YouTube, and it's funny. People who don't like Marshawn Lynch, they use it to show like how he's a jerk. But then people like us who've been through situations and contract and bosses and stuff. And Pete Carroll's a great guy. He's a highly energetic guy. So Marshawn's sitting on the bench with his head down, which he always does. Coach Carroll comes over and he's like, "Okay, Marshawn, this time." He's basically telling him about a play, but it's going to be different this time. So look for the opening on the right side instead of the left side because blah, 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 right? So he's all animated and stuff, and Marshawn's still looking down. He goes, "I'll read it, coach. I'll read it, coach." And so every time he excitedly told him what the play was and what to look for, Marshawn said, "I'll read it, coach." And then finally, the coach slaps him on the back and laughs and says, okay, Marshawn. Okay, he kind of like then walks away. But it's like, that's who Marshawn Lynch is.
Yeah.
Give me the ball.
Yeah.
This is what I do. Okay.
Right.
If it's 2 yards to get and you hand me the ball, because I think in his mind he doesn't think about it like that.
Right.
I mean, he doesn't look at it like the ball goes here. He's like, give me the ball. I've been doing this since in middle school,
Yes.
And I think that would be a case where
I'm all about that action, boss.
I probably would have bet all my money on that one. You know what I mean? I don't bet, but if Marshawn Lynch to get 2 yards in the Super Bowl, 2 tries, I put it all on him on that one. But hey, it's football. That's what makes it great.
Yeah, well, man.
Patriots.
It was a great game, though.
It was a great game. That was a great game.
Turned out the way I liked it. But.
I mean, early on, when at the last play of the first half, when everybody expected Seattle to kick that field goal, and then they pulled them off, and that one guy, was it Chris Matthews for the Seahawks, the receiver?
Yeah.
And he caught that ball in the end zone because he's as tall as he was. They had him against a much shorter defensive back. And he caught it in the end zone. The Patriots, what do? They put their tallest cornerback on Chris Matthews, and Chris Matthews essentially becomes a non-factor in the game.
Yeah, great.
I mean, that's just great football. I mean, great football. Tom Brady with those 2 interceptions, and yet the greatness that he is, he comes back and he delivers.
And then what about on the Seattle side? They kept asking, "Are y'all going to change up?" He's like, "No, this is what we do." It's like basically the player needs to step up.
Yeah,
which I love that too. I love the the confidence of both coaches. They knew their team. Here's the last thing I want to say about the. I heard commentators that keep saying Russell Wilson's not an elite quarterback. He's a great game manager. That's some bullshit, man.
Yeah.
That's so disrespectful. Like,
man, he's been in the league
manager.
He's been in the league 3 years. He's been in the Super Bowl twice.
Right.
Come on, man.
And they would not be there if they didn't have Russell Wilson.
True.
So if you say he's a great, that's like Trent Dilfer was a great game manager for the Ravens.
That's the only person you've ever heard called a game manager.
We have a great defense. He's not going to lose it for you. No, right. Russell Wilson will win it for you. Therefore, he's more than a game manager. Because what is it? Even when you use the term quarterback away from football, what is it? It's somebody who's a leader who we can depend on to guide you through the proper, areas, whatever. So game manager is not fair to Russell. But it's his check. His check won't say that though. His check will say elite quarterback.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. What about, I missed the halftime show because I was on my way home, but everybody was saying that Katy Perry she fumbled the ball, man. She did not deliver. I mean, I didn't see it. What did you guys think?
For what it was, for what a halftime show is, I think it was fine.
Well, I cracked open a Coca-Cola for the Pepsi halftime show. you know where my mindset was, my critical eye.
Wow.
You know, I don't believe it. From the beginning, I knew it was going to be a hot mess. So the song is Roar, right? You're going to hear me roar like a tiger, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So she walks out on a lion.
Well, you know.
So here's a check. There's a check mark right there.
Check mark right there.
Katy Perry, you know, not really the greatest dancer.
Yeah.
She seemed very stiff, kind of seemed in a lot of awkward positions.
I would imagine though, Troy, a lot of nerves though, man. I mean, this is the ultimate. This is bigger. This performer would be bigger than the Grammys.
Well, she's been doing concerts all over the world, right?
Yeah, but this is a whole nother thing though, isn't it?
I guess you better get somebody who can handle it.
Yeah, I don't think she was nervous. It just is what it is. I think she just.
Did Missy save it? Did Missy save it? I don't know. Like I said, I didn't see it.
Missy saved it if you didn't ask yourself the question, what the hell is Missy doing here? That's like, all right, this is nice. Even I'm asking, what
Missy saved it with some 10-year-old songs.
Well,
Missy should have performed at Super Bowl 39.
But you should have heard, driving home, I'm listening to the game on the radio, and to hear the announcer go, you know, Missy Elliott, who's popular for her song "Get Your Freak On," you know, it's like
Missy. It was a bit disjointed, but let's just be fair.
You had Lenny Kravitz with her.
Mm-hmm. That was the best scene right there.
Doing a rock version of "I Kissed a Girl," which kind of was. I don't know.
I like that, Troy.
Yeah.
But you know what? I tell you what. I think what was interesting about it, it seemed very short to me. And that's largely because Missy Elliott was like gave her, it was like getting a breather. You know, it gave her a chance to, you know, not have to perform.
Yeah.
And it was awkward, like when she was on the stage with Missy, it was kind of like, well, but you know, I get, to me, you realize also how Queen Bee has got this game pretty much on lock. Like Beyonce delivered the last, you know, in our Super Bowl.
You know what? I wouldn't even think just specifically about Beyonce. We've seen other people do a better job than that. Even the damn Rolling Stones were. I mean, if you could just put a band out there and let them play, that's fine.
So
I will say this though, in a room full of girls, ages 10 to whatever, they were okay with it.
Well, all them sharks and stuff, it looked like Nickelodeon.
Yeah, right. No, and that's the thing. No, and that's it, Troy. I think that we can't. That evaluating it, that has to go into it too. She is a kind of a splashy, over the top, cartoonish, and all those aspects. That aspect, I think, did entertain the younger people. The graphics and all that stuff that they use. That's a big player in their world. We're like, let a band play. You know, they're like, oh, look, it's colors. It's kind of like
there's only a handful of entertainers though that I think are gonna please like almost everybody. I mean, Katy Perry obviously wasn't for us. And us, I don't mean that as a race thing. I mean as a generational thing. It wasn't for us, right? Now you put Prince up there, even Beyonce. Beyonce is everybody, but Beyonce's worldwide. You know, Beyonce.
She performed. She actually sang with her mic. Katie, it looked like this was lip synced. It was all coordinated. It was all kind of like
pretty much disjointed. Then is what it was.
And then again, Miss Elliott was there.
Then she floated up in the air.
I like that graphic
and sang "Firework." But as the entire internet said, oh look, it's NBC's "The More You Know" logo.
They did cut a bit. That cost them $30,000 by using that.
Wow!
Oh my God!
Wow!
It was in the back of the stadium.
Man. So this Bobbi Kristina, man.
Lord Jesus.
They found her face down in the bathtub, unresponsive. She's in a medically induced coma now at the hospital. Her brain activity is almost. My understanding is she's just this side of brain dead, man. She's just. And Bobbi supposedly.
They say the longer that she's in a coma, the harder it's going to be for her to actually recover from this.
Even if it's medically induced?
Even medically induced, because, there obviously had to be, and I'm no doctor, but there was a significant amount of oxygen,
Yeah, face down in the bathtub, yeah.
Yeah.
So my you know, and Bobby's inconsolable, Bobby Brown, which I can completely understand. You know, Bobby is a man, Bobby is a father, and it hurts. It hurts, you know. And I was thinking this morning about Sissy. Good Lord. You know? But then I was reading some comments this morning, you know, and they say, you know what? It's all about parenting. And Sissy apparently wasn't there for Whitney because of her issues, and Whitney wasn't there for Bobby because of her issues, Bobbi Kris. I don't know if that's fair. I don't think it's fair. Because unless you're in the circle, you don't know how they parented. You don't know. You don't know what kind of parent someone is unless you're in the house.
Well, and that's funny. You're right, and that's the thing about fame. We do have a tendency to, you know, try to live other people's lives. Like me and Allison were talking about it, and Allison was like, "Why wasn't that girl in college?" and that is so black. Like,
she needs to be in school.
Why wasn't she at Hampton? Your mama is Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
Who didn't go to school. Her mama was Sissy Houston, who didn't go to school. They're entertainers.
Right.
So she's working on an album.
Yeah.
Well,
and not a bachelor's degree.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
But it's interesting though how we take who we are, and then we project it on famous people.
Sure.
But it just doesn't work. Just like we talked about last time, how seeing the funeral and Bobby leaving, we were like, why Bobby leaving? He need to be with his daughter this time. Well, there's a story behind that. You know, It's not a normal life. Right. And I think that's the same thing with Whitney and Sissy and Dionne Warwick, and it's just not normal. So it's kind of, we can't really do it. Like I said, Tony, unless we really are there and judging the parenting. I will say that it does seem, but again, I haven't had a child who's on drugs and famous. You know, it does seem like when your child is famous and the machine has them, sometimes it's hard. You know, it's hard to compete. You got multi-billion-dollar company, a daughter who's amazingly talented, who has a drug issue and other issues. Can you really save them? I don't know. You know, I guess we don't know unless we've been in those footsteps.
I mean, they say that there were no drugs found. That's what the police were saying. Her family is saying she ain't been on drugs and she ain't been drinking. You know, and I also read someone pointed out also that they need to be looking at Nick Gordon. That's who they need to be looking at.
Well,
he's the one who found her, and if they're married, and if she passes, then who's next in line for that estate?
Wait a minute. So they're saying they don't know how did she get why was she unresponsive then?
That's what, you know. I was reading some things this morning. They were saying you need to look at Nick Gordon. Maybe he was responsible for her being face down in the bathtub, unresponsive. I don't know. I wasn't there. That's just some stuff that I was reading this morning. But I mean, in this situation, if they say there were no drugs involved in this situation, that it had either been a medical issue, like a seizure or something, or maybe she hit her head and was unconscious, fell in the tub. I don't know. Or it could have been foul play. I mean, I don't know if in fact there were no drugs or alcohol involved, like they were saying yesterday.
Well, to add to all of the speculation and comments that people are discussing, is the fact that there, you know, also there have been rumors that they were having some kind of marital issue. They had some kind of an argument prior to, or maybe the day before.
Yeah, and where she said she was going to kill herself.
That was also alleged.
Yeah, that was alleged too. So I don't know. The bottom line is really this, guys, and I think you guys will agree with this. Nothing matters. We just want this young lady to pull through.
Yeah.
And it's not based on all reports. It's not looking very promising right now. But that really, all that aside, we need her to pull through, and we need to get this young lady some help. This is what's most important, in my opinion.
I guess I'm confused, Tony. I'm confused. Like I say, if it wasn't drugs, then I don't understand. And I think it's also funny how Tony, I love Tony because Tony's voice sounds official on everything. So on one hand, Tony's official. He's like the judge. You know, he lays out the evidence properly. But then when you put that other voice on Troy, when he's like, they need to be looking at, I'll tell you one thing, they need to be I'm like, wait a minute. Hold up. I'm sure the police are looking at him. He's the husband.
Yeah.
He found her.
Yeah.
But I like to see that other voice that, you know, that's the other Tony.
They need to be looking at Yes. So where are we on this Suge Knight thing, man? Is it murder? Is it murder? Well, what exactly happened, man? Because what I read over the weekend, Suge Knight went down to the movie set of the NWA movie.
Why?
And he says allegedly, he says he went down there because he got a phone call from Dr. Dre saying, "Let's make peace. Come down here." And Dr. Dre is like, "Huh?
That's right.
Y'all do know I'm on the board of Apple, right? I don't need this in my life, right? So no, I did not call him, right?
What?
Yes.
I hear you because I have my beats on.
Hey man, I lost Suge's number the 50th time he told me he was going to kill me.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. First of all, that set, aka set,
yeah,
that looked like a rundown cheap ass hotel. Actually, so the set was a very realistic portrayal, I guess.
Yeah. So what exactly happened though, guys? Did he drove away and ran somebody over?
Let me break it down. So this is what happened.
All right.
Suge had beef.
Okay.
Because he didn't want his people to be involved with this project.
Okay.
So he heads on down with a friend. A friend, right? Now, allegedly, some are saying the friends say the friend was the one that said that Dre said to come to the set, allegedly. So he gets to the set and gets jumped, allegedly, by those, like he shows up and they ain't got no love for him. So apparently, he hops out, and as soon as he hops out, it's on and popping. Now, the guy he gets in this fight with, or whatever, struggle, the other guy that he came with, apparently they break him up, and the other guy is dealing with the guy, talking, whatever you want to call it, maybe arguing, who knows, and that's when Suge speeds off. He backs up, hitting both of them, and then speeds off, rolling over the other guy again, leaving
crush his skull.
The guy who was with him dead, and the other guy slightly injured.
So he actually, the guy that was killed was actually the friend of Suge's that came with him.
Right.
Wow.
The only problem is, was he the guy? Did he set that up?
Yeah.
Hey, they want to holler at you.
Man.
But the other thing is, okay, let's see. I'm Larry. My real name is Larry Johnson, like the basketball player. So, guys, if I die before you do, please don't let the newspaper put a picture of basketball player Larry Johnson.
Oh, like they did with Terry Carter?
Because Terry Carter,
yeah,
apparently 55, was actually portrayed as the 87-year-old actor who was on Battlestar Galactica.
He was on McLeod. But you know what? I'll be honest, man, because I read that at a few places and I reported that. And then I took it back because I was wrong. But I checked. I read like 3 or 4 different places that says that it was Terry Carter from Battlestar Galactica and from McLeod, who's 87 years old. I was like,
what's he doing there?
What's he doing there, right?
Well, see,
maybe he was.
So guys, I'm telling you, be careful. And also, the only thing that stopped this story was Dennis Weaver. Dennis Weaver was the only one.
Dennis Weaver, but it was not that Dennis Weaver from McLeod and Gunsmoke. It was just another cat named Dennis Weaver. No, I'm just playing. I don't know.
It was Dennis Dinky Weaver from Compton. Who only was aware of the story because it had happened before.
Man, I don't know.
MC McLeod, actually.
MC McLeod.
Don't say I'm Dennis Weaver, son.
Man,
that's not a bad idea.
I don't know. So I was reading this morning, man. Johnny Manziel is in rehab.
Yes.
He's working.
Is that drug rehab or football rehab?
It's treatment to work on
should go to both
areas in which he needs to improve in order to be a better family member, friend, and teammate, according to a spokesperson. So now he's not Johnny Football; he's Johnny Rehab now.
They say Johnny was crushed when somebody told him at the thing. Yeah, that's what they call all the losers who faded in NBA. Yeah. Why? Yes. You're on a short list, buddy, of guys who ain't gonna quite make it.
Man.
Is he coming back from this, guys?
Yeah.
Or let me say, coming back from. I can't say coming back from. He didn't have nothing.
He's an NFL player.
You're an NFL player who's not lived up to your potential.
It's only been 1 year.
He's still got a chance.
And actually half a season. Not even half a season, like 3 games.
Well, anytime they hope you're as good as Vince Young, you know you're in trouble.
Right. Yeah, right.
If you can pull out a Vince Young career, we'll be happy. What? Vince Young? Kill me now.
No, man.
He's still got a chance.
He's still got a chance.
I mean, they gave Tim Tebow a couple of chances.
Man, come on, man. Ryan Leaf bounced around for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll get a shot, man. What was that? Jamarcus Russell, and I mean, there's been lots of them, man. They get chances.
Marcus ate himself out there. He ate himself. He blamed his short career on biscuits and gravy. Your Honor, it was just every morning I'm faced with biscuits and gravy. It's not right.
So, have you been following this the Steve Kroft thing from 60 Minutes?
Oh,
Steve Kroft is one of the reporters for 60 Minutes. He's 69 years old, and apparently he's been cheating on his wife with a Manhattan lawyer, Lisanne Goins, who's 41, an African-American woman, which really doesn't really play into the equation, but just as a point of reference and stuff. Apparently, she would send him like selfies of her in lingerie and stuff like that. And I saw one of the pictures, and his response was, "Don't dress like Beyonce." He insisted allegedly that she dressed low key like Laura Bush, so she wouldn't attract attention when they would be out in public together.
Oh, okay.
But you've got to be pretty confident, though. You've got to be pretty confident to be on a level that he's at and be in public with someone who is not your wife.
Well, Tony, that series of photos or whatever has been released. The story came out maybe a month or two ago initially.
Yeah.
And a bunch of text messages got out that were anything but low key coming from Mr. Kroft.
Yeah.
He was like I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he was definitely open. He definitely liked that, wanted some of that chocolate. He wanted, there was something, something crazy, chocolate and feather and,
pickle.
A pickle and a.
You don't want to put words in his mouth, but he apparently wanted to put something in his mouth.
Chocolate, a feather, and a field mouse. Something.
Wow.
Don't dress like Beyonce.
Don't dress like Beyonce.
He told her to dress like Shirley Ralph, which was kind of sexy. I gotta admit.
Well, not Cheryl Lee Ralph reference, man. I don't
dress like Cheryl Lee Ralph.
In the same show as McLeod.
As McLeod.
Damn.
Goodness.
I get I get the Brubaker for Dennis Weaver, man. Dennis Weaver has not been mentioned in 30 years on anywhere.
Yeah.
But why, when you say McLeod, that song pops in the head, though?
Yeah.
And now
they had it on. They had it on Me TV last week. I watched a couple of those episodes, man, late at night.
There having some tea.
I was sitting there, man.
Don't tell anybody else that.
Well, I mean,
that's a guilty pleasure,
man.
Wow.
Yeah.
What?
Mannix.
So Roseanne says she's not shocked by the Bill Cosby allegations, and she wants him to make it right. And when was the last time anybody gave a damn about what Roseanne had to say?
Right, Roseanne.
I mean, how relevant is she right now? She's
Roseanne wants him to make it right, but she can't make the national anthem right.
I mean, are they just going to ask everybody about the Bill Cosby? Next, they're going to ask Toady Fields, man? Well, I mean, what the hell?
Well, Toady was bad in her day.
Bad in her day, yeah. But, I mean, come on, man.
Day is over.
Day is over,
Bill did not seduce Roseanne.
Yeah.
Said, get off me. Get off me.
You don't get the pudding pop, okay?
No, go to your room.
It's funny. I just today was watching a documentary that Whoopi Goldberg did on Moms Mabley.
Great documentary, man.
And Bill Cosby is in it.
Yeah. But
I was surprised that, that it was airing. Obviously all the Cosby episodes are not on TV now.
Right.
Allegedly. So this was on, she's, I'm just surprised to see it on TV with all this going on still with Bill Cosby.
Isn't it interesting, though, like these stars from way back when, Moms Mabley and all that, and we find out stuff about Moms Mabley was very open about being a lesbian.
Mr. Moms.
But we didn't. But the public never really knew it. But it was like the worst kept secret back then that she was gay. And it's interesting because a lot of these stars that we find out about, that were gay, lesbian, and stuff.
Sure.
We find out about now. It's interesting how, you know, as much of an open secret that was back in the day, how different it was, because even the press knew it, but they just didn't report it.
Yeah, she was gay. Hattie McDaniel was gay.
Mm-hmm.
Gospel singer.
Mahalia?
Eddie Jackson, allegedly gay. It's like, wow.
Yeah, you just. I mean, all the stuff comes out now, but back then it was known, but it wasn't reported. Now, you know, if you blow your nose in public, there's video of it.
Which goes back to what you were saying about Steve Kroft, the hiding in plain sight kind of thing. You know, maybe because, you know, he had a perception of, you know, being under the radar. I'm a news guy. Everybody knows I've been married for 1,000 years, so all I'm doing is having a meeting with this chocolate woman.
You're going to give me the benefit of the doubt because I'm Steve Kroft.
She's a lawyer, you know. You go, okay.
Yeah. It's
kind of like the nowadays we'll call it the Queen Latifah defense. You know, just kind of like, hey, because I'm on vacation with a fine chick kissing her don't mean I'm gay. Just because I'm naked with a fine chick sitting on my face don't mean I'm gay.
Hey.
I was singing. I'm sorry.
I was doing my Bane imitation.
Stop.
Don't you like it when I talk like that?
Y'all crazy. Queen Latifah, you crazy. And not gay.
Oh, man.
So what's this deal about Stacey Dash and what she said about rape victims? Did you hear about this, man? This is kind of she says rape victims are bad girls who like to be naughty.
Oh Jesus! But these black people quit being stereotypes. Like they're just pawns. Why do they fall for the pawn game?
I wish I knew.
I don't know. I don't
even think it's a check. That's weird. I think she's just trying to be relevant, you know? Seduced by relevancy. Trying to, you know, you can go on, you know, these shows and say outrageous things. And it's funny. People of color and women. You know, it's kind of like the issue. It's like Native American. Like if anybody who's, you know, whatever, can stand up and be like, hey, I have no problem with the Redskins. Thank you, Chief Navajo. You know, it's kind of like, and get it. You know, is it the? I don't think it's the check, because the party tries to break. You know, you try to.
But the check is going to happen anyway if you're already on.
Oh, that's true.
She's already getting paid.
So they're paid. They kind of getting paid for that. Like,
I think they are. Obviously, you know, I think some people would say Don Lemon as well. There's some element of, you know.
I think he's just crazy. I think Don's crazy.
But he's still on the air. You know, despite people saying you're the worst journalist in the world, CNN is not going to, you know, keep him off the air.
But I mean, did Don Lemon just become the worst journalist in the world in the last year, or was he always a bad journalist, or is it people are just saying this because they don't agree with what his opinions about certain things? I mean, what is it?
I think it happened, and Troy, who's now a news guy, I think it kind of happened. It kind of happened in the old way was you didn't really get your life tied into the news story.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Don kind of became the whore. Like you're telling us everything from you cutting your own hair to you're gay to you wear size 7 shoes. We don't really care, Don. I mean, it's kind of like when you say Troy, kind of like he put himself in the story almost.
Well, that's you know that's the third rail of journalism, that you're supposed to be objective about the stories that you talk about.
Right.
Everybody has biases, but as a journalist, you're not expressing those biases in the stories that you cover because you're trying to be informative.
Right.
In the old days.
You know, but now there has been, the lines have been clouded, and you know, companies like CNN know that. You know, they're allowing their journalists, I think, to be kind of embrace the story more. You know, kind of asking questions and giving opinion when that was not what was done back in the day.
But you know what?
And Fox.
But you know, but with CNN, though, that seems to have evolved under the leadership of Jeff Zucker when he took over CNN. I mean, Jeff Zucker's the one who got rid of Roland Martin, got rid of Candy Crowley, got rid of, and they don't do as much news like at night as they used to. They run forensic files late at night now, where they used to just run news, right? So they've kind of evolved and become just a news network, and maybe that's part of it.
Well,
under his regime.
Here's the problem, Tony. Why do more people watch forensic files than they do?
Well, but I mean,
seen it already.
I mean, I understand that, but maybe the
CNN and MSNBC have as many TV shows as CBS and ABC.
Well, yeah. I mean, they got Anthony Bourdain or whatever his name is. He's got a show on CNN now. So maybe they've evolved. They've evolved in a direction that we're not used to having CNN be. It's like all of a sudden they're not what we always counted on them to be, which was a news station, a news network that just did news. I mean, yeah, they had Larry King and all that kind of stuff like that, but it just seems like it's evolved into something else, and maybe part of it was to make their news people more human than news.
Oh, no,
I mean, I'm just guessing, because Don Lemon has been on the network for a long time, but it just seems like in the last year, it's really, things have really gone south as far as what people think about him.
Well, like you said, I think it's a certain group of people too. I got to remember, guys. Like, again, we are, I'm gonna quit saying old, because we're not old. We're not old, but we're traditionalists in a lot of ways.
Oh, sure.
I think so. Our evaluation of things, like I listened to Howard Stern this morning, and he was talking about different things, the Super Bowl or whatever, and I had to laugh because I was thinking, wow, that point of view is not the point of view of a 25 to 45-year-old. Mm-hmm. That's the point of view of a 50-year-old, know? And I think we kind of fit into the same deal when it comes to all aspects of media, like and music. We kind of like have some we have standards, and nowadays they're being challenged. They're being challenged, and so then you're kind of like, wow, like what the hell happened? Like I say, I think Don Lemon, when the Ferguson stuff, his kind of take and his kind of like insinuating himself into the storyline, and then I think in some cases it was applauded. Mm-hmm. In some cases, people were like, what the hell is going on? So it's kind of like, it left a bad taste in the mouth of many, but not necessarily all, and maybe not enough to change his status, because obviously, like you say, he's still there, and how business works. If it wasn't working, he'll be gone, or he would be gone, and he might be gone. So,
if it's a perceived train wreck, if that's what some people might view it, what do? We gravitate to those things. We watch them because he's going to do something again, and I think that ties into the whole entertainment aspect. But bottom line is, the news still is entertainment.
Sure,
it's informative, but it's still, for some people, it's entertainment.
It's interesting though, because for years, I mean, yeah, we're traditionalists and all that, but every once in a while on the news, there'll be a story that involves a news anchor going through cancer or going through something, and they tell their story, and we're okay with that, we're okay with it. There was a video of a news anchor, I think in North Carolina, who did his last show because people had noticed there was a change in his voice, and he went and got checked out. He has Lou Gehrig's disease. God bless him, but it's one of those, and so he's telling his story. I remember when I lived in the San Francisco Bay Area, there was a reporter who became HIV infected, and he told his story. And he became part of the news, but he became part of the story. I saw this thing with Don Lemon and his mother when they traced his roots back, and it was very emotional for Don to find out certain things, but it was a very compelling piece about his ancestry, I thought. But the criticism that he gets for inserting himself in the story, I mean, and I'm asking this to be fair, is that true, or is that just our perspective because we're not used to seeing news people do things different? I mean, I don't know. I'm asking. I mean, I have no problem with Don Lemon.
No, I don't either. I think it's just some people. I don't either, really. I get it. I get both sides. I get some people who are annoyed by Don Lemon. I get some people who are like, I don't care. I don't care. I wouldn't turn him off, and I wouldn't necessarily turn him on. Like, I would turn on, what's her name with the braids? That does with the glasses. She does a lot of African American centric stuff on MSNBC.
Oh, Melissa Harris Perry.
I will turn her on, though I don't remember her name. I would turn her on and be like, "Oh yeah, I like this." You know, Don doesn't have any of that for me. But at the same time, I don't hate on him. I'm just like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But would he get the same backlash if he was a white guy?
No.
No.
I don't know. I mean.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. You know what? I take that back. You're right, Drew. I can't say quickly no, because I don't think that's it. I don't think it's race with him. I don't think it's race with him.
You know, he asked and I can't remember exactly what happened. The last thing that he dealt with was having a conversation with a Muslim advocate, but insinuating that he just asked the question like, you have extremist views or something like. And this guy was not an extremist at all. But it was like, people were like, WTF? What are you doing?
But I mean, isn't it part of the journalist's job though, Troy, to ask the questions that people want to know?
But
there's a lot of people who
not if your base.
But a lot of people would want to know that in this country where there clearly is an anti-Muslim.
But he was, and I wish I had the facts. Yeah. But this guy is an advocate who speaks out against extremism.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was established that the guest that he had was nowhere near anything that had to do with Al Qaeda, Al Shabaab, or anything like that.
So it was almost like, yeah.
But you would think, Troy, that I think we can all agree that Don Lemon is an intelligent man. Okay. Yeah. So why
brain fart at that moment?
That's I was getting ready to say. Is that what happened, or did he have some misinformation? Did they not tell him? I don't know. It just seems kind of odd that someone who is as intelligent as Don Lemon is that would ask such a stupid ass question.
But I think, Tony, I think you're right. See, this is the problem with the whole. Again, I've working closely with a friend who's and probably being more sensitive because of that. You see that on the news all the time. Mm-hmm. Jihad. People, if you ask the average news anchor, is jihad a violent act? They say yes. It's not. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of misinformation. So you're right. On one hand, does he get thrown under the bus for whatever reason? Well, that's just one example. I saw Charlie Rose, I told you years ago, ask Denzel Washington a stupid question, like as if Denzel Washington just got into acting. So it happens all the time, and as Troy, on television happens a lot of times. It happened
last night at the Super Bowl.
Well,
when they talked to Rob Gronkowski.
Well, yeah.
He grabbed the trophy. He's like, "How does this feel again? This is my first time."
Well, that happened a couple weeks ago. Rashida Jones was at an event, and they were talking to her. They said, "You're so tanned and everything," and she had to point out to them that she's an ethnic woman. And it's like, really?
But the funny thing about that story, though, that Rashida Jones, but everything we do nowadays, it is about the clicks, because the headline made it seem like it was a big thing, and it really wasn't. You look so tan. I'm ethnic. If
as a journalist though, if they send you out to do an interview, you've got to know these folks that you're talking to.
But like with that situation right there, she's biracial, that's why she's tan. What if she knew she was biracial and said you look so tan? What if she looked tan? Because people who are brown, Troy, you guys can have tans. Tony, you look so. If I ask you look so tan, then the conversation is different, because as a black person, if I said you look tan, it would be like, oh, I know you're black. I'm just saying you guys look like you came from vacation. If a white person says that, then it's almost like, oh, you don't know that I'm black. It's kind of like, because when I saw it, I thought the same thing. But then, to be honest, Rashida's answer was interesting because she kept it moving. Mm-hmm. She could have been like, well, my father's Quincy Jones.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, we know who's person in the world would be like, why didn't she say she was black? Right. Why didn't she announce that she was actually half African American and half Caucasian? She just said, I'm ethnic. Why did she cop out?
This is a place of business. You can't be yelling like that.
Come here.
No.
Come here.
No.
Come here. La Loca doesn't feel good. You know why?
La Loca.
She doesn't feel good.
Oh, feel better.
Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
No, okay.
TMI.
There's a white
pants. Damn.
Actually, it's the striped pants. Stripes tonight. Polka dots today.
Did they start out that way?
No.
Not it.
You guys are horrible.
No.
You guys are horrible, man. You guys are. What do you guys have, man? That's all I got. What do you guys have, man?
Tony, hello.
What
about
ahead.
the commercials from the Super Bowl?
You know what? I didn't really watch them. I mean, so tell me what you thought. I mean, I saw the only one I was looking forward to seeing, and I didn't see was the PSA about domestic violence. I saw. They said there were going to be 3 of them. I saw one, but I didn't see it during the Super Bowl. I saw it online, where the woman calls a 911, talks to a dispatcher, and she's, I guess her assailant is in the room, and so she's ordering pizza, right? And so the dispatcher has to decipher what she's saying and ask her some leading questions to get an understanding that this is real and she's a victim and she needs help. And I thought that just touched my soul. That was like, we all have had domestic violence in our family, whether it's an aunt or your mother or a sister or whatever. We've all been down that road, and to me, that really touched me. And I thought I missed seeing it during the broadcast, but I did see it online. But I really didn't see any of the other commercials. My wife told me about the puppy one with the Anheuser-Busch, and I saw. It's hard to watch the commercials when there's people in the room and everybody's talking. So all you get to see is the video. I saw the Pierce Brosnan one. I didn't even know what it was about. I saw the Liam Neeson one. I didn't know what that was about. But so that's why I hadn't said anything. But go ahead.
Well, I thought one thing that the overall assessment of the commercials that was interesting this time around, not only with the domestic violence, was that the commercials had a more serious tone. Mm-hmm. And I was following the dialogue on Twitter, and and I was also adding my own snarky comments about some of the commercials.
You, Troy?
Yes,
no.
Me. But it was interesting. They weren't as I think frat party bud commercials that you are used to in the Super Bowl. They definitely, like, there was one commercial where the kid, I think it was an insurance company, where the kid was like, I'm not going to be able to kiss a girl. I'm not going to be able to play football or whatever. He went through all these things he's not going to be able to do because he was killed by a drunk driver.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was kind of like, people were like, damn, like it's Debbie Downer.
Yeah.
That one.
Well, that would explain the meme I saw last night. They had some little boy, a little white kid up there, and the meme says something about, the Seahawks, I didn't get a call to play because I'm dead or something. I didn't get it.
Right.
And I'm assuming that's what that was then.
Exactly.
Okay.
So and that meme was kind of getting tied into all these other things that, they would have liked, Tony. There were a couple of dad-centric, that was a hashtag, dad-centric commercials during the Super Bowl. I thought the Loctite glue commercial was funny. They had these people dancing.
Now, I read that they blew their whole budget on that one spot, like $5 million for the year. Right. They spent it on a Super Bowl. Do you think they got their money's worth out of it?
Yes.
They got a win, but the question I always say when people say it was a big win, and it was funny, it was definitely cool. Are you going to buy any Loctite glue today?
I never even heard of Loctite glue. Have you guys heard of it?
But I think in the case. Yeah, I hadn't either. But in the case of those kind of products, I think it does, because when I think of that kind of glue, I think of super glue first, probably Gorilla Glue, but probably super glue has worked for me in the past. But then I did subconsciously add that to my list of glue. Like when you go, because when you're looking at a store, now if you go to the, here's the part though, like you spend that kind of money on a Super Bowl ad, the next phase is you'd have to spend that kind of money in positioning in stores. So when your people look at the thing, they go, oh, in your mind, you go, oh, that's the whatever. I see the colors clearly right now. They're blue, I think blue, red, and white or something like that. Yeah. If I saw that on the aisle, I would try it because I saw that commercial.
It might work out for them.
Top 3 glues: Gorilla Glue, Super Glue, and Elmer's Glue.
Elmer's ain't worth jack, Tony, anymore.
Actually. But it's still that brand is still a thing though.
Yeah.
Only because we used to lick it off our hands.
Remember, you used to put it on your palm and peel it up and all that. I didn't do that, man. But that explains a lot about you, though.
And powder for me was powder too.
Elmer's is a good eating glue.
Yeah, well, you know, it was safe to eat. See,
the funny part about the commercials is we've turned it into something. It's a commercial, but people are turning it into like, hey man, the commercials this year weren't as good as last year. They're commercials, you know. It's
well, like, but see, they've hyped these Super Bowl commercials to be bigger than the game. And I saw some messages on Twitter last night that says for the first time in a while, the game was actually better than the commercials.
Yes, that's
it was
true.
a good game. I like the 100-year-old commercial.
Dodge commercial.
I couldn't remember the car brand. That one, and then what made me laugh, Troy, was that you the glue commercial, and was it Seamless, the Grubhub commercial cracked me up for some reason.
Really? With Snoop?
No, with the tamale or something that was flying, knocking people out.
Oh yeah.
that was pretty frat boy humorous, but it cracked me up.
I like the Kickstart drink commercial where these guys are, you know, it really did encompass what you expect in a Super Bowl commercial. These guys are sitting around and they're playing video games, and Kickstart is a drink by Mountain Dew. So they're like, you know, hand me a Kickstart. So they all, you know, take a sip, and like all of a sudden they're like, they start dancing, man. This song comes on, and the dog is doing his thing. Dog is twerking. The whole room it's hilarious. It's hilarious. I mean, but that's what you expect at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's funny. What else was a good one? The Liam Neeson commercial was cool. He was playing a phone game.
Okay. And
you know, he was doing his Liam Neeson kind of vibe. You know, I will now crush you. You know. But then he's ordering a latte at the same time.
Oh well, there you go. So all right, well there you go.
There were a few good commercials, but it did have a much more subdued tone for whatever reason this year. I couldn't quite understand why.
More feeling, thinking commercials, maybe, like you said.
Yeah, it was.
The Microsoft one. Is it Microsoft? Who was that? The computer company that had the emotional ones. That was good. Was it Microsoft?
It might have been Microsoft. Yeah, and McDonald's. This is the one that got me.
Yeah, that got me too. Yeah.
Well, I didn't like it. McDonald's now has decided that they're going to randomly accept acts of kindness for payment for food. So take a selfie with your little kid, and then we'll pay for your food.
Well, that's not a random act of kindness, though.
They're saying that this campaign could happen at any time. Mm-hmm. You're in line. Yeah, you're in line ordering number one, and they tell you, call your mom.
Yeah, maybe they're biting off of Panera Bread. I don't know, outside of in St. Louis, they're called St. Louis Bread Company, but it's the same company. But they have they open up a restaurant here where you pay what you can,
right?
In an effort to help out people who are struggling and all that. Where do they put it? They put it in Clayton. Clayton is like one of the ritzy suburbs of St. Louis. They didn't dare put it in the city. No. They put it in Clayton. They put it in Clayton, where they put it in an area where everybody who goes there has got a job.
Right.
If they put it in downtown Clayton, right?
It's going to take a Herculean effort for you to get from Natural Bridge Road to Clayton. Get a sandwich.
My wife told me, and I didn't know this about McDonald's is actually they're in the real estate business.
Yeah,
that's where they make like a lot of their money. Is they buy the land that they're going to put a restaurant, and they'll put a franchisee there, but the franchisee has to pay rent forever.
Oh wow!
I think it's based on their sales, and so they are one of the largest owners of property in the world.
But I think why it's worked for some people, I would imagine, is the key is you got to have more than one.
Yeah.
Because if you bought a franchise, but when you build your own, that's when you start making money.
Yeah.
I believe that's the way the formula works. But my last crack on this McDonald's thing was, okay, that sounds great. You want me to call my mom so I can get a free Big Mac, basically. but but your employees behind the counter don't talk to you. So how is Rashida going to tell me she don't even look up from the screen? And
that's all they have to say, because you tell them what they want, they punch it into the computer, and they don't even have to tell you your total because it's up there, right? You give them your bank card, they'll swipe it, give it back to you with the receipt. You give them cash, they'll give you your change, and they'll say nothing else to you. They don't have to. No. That's the way it's set up. They don't have to. All they have to say is, "Can I help you?"
But when you see McDonald's and you see those stores, and we've seen them for years, about welcome to McDonald's, may I help you? Have you seen that?
But
when's the last time you heard those 4 words?
But when's the last time you ordered a Big Mac and it actually looks like the one on TV?
Well, that's a whole nother story. But it's interesting when I go to Chick-fil-A, for example. Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
there's a distinct difference in the presentation.
Oh, you go to the bathroom and it's like wipers.
They smile. They don't. And we've had this conversation on our shows forever, and maybe this is, as Mark eloquently said, us being old. But, I mean, you can still make eye contact when you're making a sale.
That has to be taught, though.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
They don't teach them that, though. Maybe they don't.
So how are you going to teach them to ask people to take a selfie for their double cheeseburger?
Well, so that's a great
cart before the horse.
That's a great point, Tony. Troy, you're that is deep, man. Because like you're saying, so for whatever reason, the process at a Chick-fil-A plug is working, and the one at McDonald's overall is not. And not just McDonald's, probably just other fast food places in general. So that's very interesting. And then
why is that? Probably because there are not as many Chick-fil-A's as there are McDonald's.
Also, there's a standard.
So
I'm sure.
But they can enforce that standard because there's not as many stores.
Well, Tony, I think it's a philosophy. I think it all starts with the company philosophy.
But I think McDonald's has a philosophy, but it's virtually unenforceable because there's just too many. There's just too many of them. I mean, that's the problem. Chick-fil-A, they have a handful of stores. I mean, I know they have more than 5 or 6, but they have way less, relatively speaking, than McDonald's does. So they can actually push their philosophy a little better. It's like I was talking to my bank. I went to the bank today. I was talking to my banker today. My bank is a very small bank, and I like it because I go in there. They call me by my name. They would call me when they would call me at home and say, "Hey, you're about to be overdrawn. What do you want me to do?" They would do these things, right? Because they didn't want to charge me an overdraft fee. They will because they're in the business to make money. But they would call me and warn me. Am I going to get that from a mega bank? Hell no, I'm not.
Well, but I think you're right, Tony. You're right. You're right. I think you'll find some McDonald's owned by some owners that have a standard. You'll find some that don't give a damn. Like I live in Bethesda. I live in Bethesda, the wealthiest, whatever, right? 7-Eleven, right? 7-Eleven in Bethesda is terrible because the owner does not do a good job of keeping a tight shop with the food fresh and ready. You turn the corner, same area, the Ethiopian guy, it's like, he takes pride in his store. When I see him, he treats me special, and the food is always fresh. Now, you know what I mean? The excuse is it's the management. That's what it is. It's the company. It's the management. So, like you said, the private owners or the franchise owners of the McDonald's, wherever we go that we're complaining about, it's their fault. Because there's some McDonald's that do have courtesy.
Yeah,
and there's some that don't. And I think, like I said, for whatever reason, maybe it's a part of the owning the franchise. You're right. When you go to Chick-fil-A, there's a whole bunch of people there. And then, of course, once you taste that delicious strawberry shake, your cares with the cream, your cares are all gone anyway. You don't Where am I? Oh, I'm driving. Okay. Oh.
So Mark, you're
the grilled chicken? Not so much. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, I would say you didn't come to no damn Chick-fil-A for no grilled chicken sandwich. Come on.
Yeah.
That's not what you came for.
Right. Yeah.
True.
Yeah. But
true. Well, all right. I guess we'll leave it right there, man. We're at an hour and 2 minutes.
Is that a velvet shirt you have on today?
It is not a velvet shirt I have on. It's actually it's a red cotton shirt that I actually have had for a while. But I use 2 different programs to do this show on, and one of them has it looking velvety, but the one that people will see, it will not be velvety. It'll be cotton. So yes, I have 2 different cameras working here. So,
and I want you to know this is not suede. I got this at K&G. So this is not
actually, it's actually Swede is what it is, not suede.
This is made out of tennis shoes.
It's the Chuck Taylor sweater. So
I hadn't planned on wearing this in front of anybody, but yeah. Sorry.
What's the matter? You cold, man?
You know.
This dude's got on short sleeves over here, man. So
yeah, I'm in the house though. I ain't got a golf shirt, so I ain't going nowhere. Ain't going nowhere right now.
It is what it is, man.
It's easier for me to twerk in this shirt.
I heard that. Well, Troy's nothing if he's not a world-class twerker. So, all right. So that's Mark Clark in New York City, Troy Johnson in Washington D.C. I'm Tony Scott in St. Louis. If you give us a thumbs up, share it, subscribe to the channel, all that kind of stuff helps us grow what we one day will hope will be a conglomerate of some sort.
Yes, with great service.
With great service, yes.
Like Chick-fil-A.
Yes, like Chick-fil-A.
And we'll be open on Sunday and not shove Jesus down your throat. Sorry.
There is that.
There is that, yes. I'm Tony Scott. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Peace.